Ladies and gentlemen, it's Moses, and welcome to Build Curious. And we are back again in The Sims 4, in the neighborhood of Henford on Bagley. And regarding the lot size that we're going to need, this was probably the best neighborhood where our build won't stick out like a sore thumb. That also has the lot size that we require. The plan for today is to build the old Victorian Gothic style mansion. Now, it won't be too much of a mansion because there's also going to be a really large garden involved. As well as having a really large garden, I was thinking that we build a large greenhouse into the main house itself. So here we have our 50 by 40 lot ready to go. But before we begin, as always, if you have any suggestions, remember to leave them down in the comment section below. So let's pause here for but a moment so that we can see exactly just what's been done. We have the overall shape of the lot fully boxed out. We have the overall shape of the lot boxed out, minus a few details that are still required. And as you can tell, it's not that much of a mansion. We may still add a thing or two to the house, but I think the only addition is going to be the greenhouse. I'm not exactly sure just yet of the shape that the greenhouse is going to be and where I want to put it. It could be at the back of the house, it could be to the side. But one thing for certain is that I want it attached to the house and accessible from the interior. Another thing is we want to use a large portion of the back of the house here for the garden itself. So we might just put the greenhouse to the side. Out here in the front, where I have these curved rail guards, where I'm thinking of doing a garden or something of the sort that slowly ascends with the staircase till it reaches the top. And as we take a closer look at the house, you'll notice that a lot of the rail guards and pillars are slightly covered in a bit of moss. And the idea is that the family living here, or the botanist, is a lot more concerned with the plant life than they are with the overall maintenance of the house. And one of the things that I really like about these windows is that we can modify them to look really run down, which I might do, but I don't quite think I will. It's a little bit too much, so we'll probably just keep it at a little bit dirty. With many things still to do, let's get to it. For our garden, my plan is to use a little bit of raised elevation. I have actual terrain that I have lifted, and I have used a foundation as well. I do, however, have a problem with both of these methods. With the foundation, there is this very clear, artificial looking grass that is being used, and I'd prefer to kind of avoid having something like that. And I would prefer to avoid that look completely. It does, however, using foundations, make it much easier to get items up close before it just shoots to the top. And that is my problem with using actual terrain. It immediately begins to slide up. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do just yet. I haven't decided if we're going to keep this different terrain elevation at all. I would really like to, especially because of this little bridge that we've made, and I think we could turn this into a very cool looking little pond. If this proves to be a little bit too challenging, then maybe I might just scrap it. Let's not give up just yet, and let's see what we can do. I always seem to forget the amount of effort that goes into creating a garden with some elevation. But we managed to get, I think, a rough idea of what I want to do. At least on this side, it's still kind of open on the other end, but I'd really like this little closed off area, and we'll still figure out exactly what we want to put in here and what we want to do going all the way around. I'm really hoping that we can bring everything together, but for the time being, I'd really like to get started on the house. Of course, the house itself also has a few things missing, like the garden on the exterior, but again, we'll put that all aside because I'm really eager to get started on the interior. So first things first, we need to figure out where we're going to put the staircase, and I'm a little unsure considering the limited amount of space that we have in this house. And what makes it even more difficult is the center of our house is just 1 square wide. So this kind of makes it difficult to have a large double staircase because we can't center that. And a triple size staircase becomes a little bit challenging, especially when it comes to the rails. So we're going to have to figure something out that's going to work for what we have planned. It might be a bit of a strange layout, but I think this might just be what we're going to use. So we have a little bit of awkward space around the stairs at the back, but unfortunately we had to make a few decisions. I would have been able to save a lot more space had I put this staircase up against the wall, but that would mean removing our door and then no longer having direct access into the greenhouse from within the house directly, which is something I said we should do from the beginning. Going upstairs, we again have a little bit of awkward space because of the staircase. However, I think we could use this room at the back as a type of bathroom. Very small one, perhaps. But that does leave us with two very useless or space wasting hallways. But we will work around it. And to be fair, I do kind of like this house in the sense of looking like a very large, Victorian style mansion. But in actual fact, there's very little space on the inside, which I think is kind of fun. So we have this fake mansion that we need to make work. And I think I'm going to stick with this weird looking staircase and just try to make the best of it. Sticking with the theme that we have with the exterior of the house, it is going to be somewhat dilapidated. Nothing crazy, just very clear that it needs a little bit of TLC with a few damages here and there. It is, after all, a very old house and just looked after by one person who, as I mentioned before, is more concerned with the garden, the plant life, more so than the interior and the upkeep of the house. So let's see what we can get up to. Next is upstairs. As for up here, I'm not 100% sure what to do with all of the space, which there is so much of. But one thing I do know is that we're going to need a bedroom. We have our bathroom. Luckily, we do have a second one downstairs now, and we have another spare room. I would like to perhaps use this room for something like gems and painting, or just another skill for our sim. One thing I was thinking that we could also do, I'm not so sure though, it might kind of ruin the cool look we have at the staircase, but let's give it a go, is to actually create another room. And I think I actually do like this. However, this leads us to a new problem, which I solved earlier by using a different wall. But that means I'm going to have to do the entire staircase with this wall, which I don't really want to do either. So that's going to require a bit of thinking. But I do think it would be nice to have at least another little room to the side. For what, I'm not so sure, but I'm positive that we can use it for something. So I'm going to go ahead and put that all together, and we'll be back shortly. And there you have it. We have gone around and done all the finishing touches, and we are just about finished. So let's take a walk through the house and see what we've done. Our exterior is all finished up. We've got our little ascending garden in the front. It's mostly just bushes. I thought it looked best. Let me know what you guys think, if you think this is something that actually looks kind of cool. I think it turned out quite all right. I was a bit concerned with the different colored greens, like too much variation, but I think this works just fine. We've got some candles in the front instead of a regular light, because at night I think it actually looks kind of cool. And we've done the same thing at the back over here. We do, however, have a really cool light here attached to the greenhouse. I just thought this was the perfect fit, so we just had to do it. And of course, everywhere around the house we have a little bit of green. A very cool archway for our greenhouse and some wind chimes, and overall just a lot of overgrown plants everywhere. As we enter our house, we've got our entryway here and a very cool fireplace. Initially we just had a dining table over here, but I thought it was a bit strange to have a full dining table even though there's just one person living here. So I kind of scaled it down and did a small dining table, as well as like a little area just to sit and read a book in front of the fire. So we're kind of getting two functions, a dining room and a living room, all the size of a single carpet. And of course, lots of old-timey things. Now, the challenge with this house was to keep it as kind of old school as possible. There was a lot of items I thought that worked with this theme, but they looked a little bit too new, too well kept, and that made me not really use them. Our kitchen, I did actually want to have a more rounded platform, but that of course causes so many problems. The platforms in this game just do not play nice. So we stuck with something simple and just did this little square platform. I really want to experiment more with platforms in the future, so hopefully we'll get to it. One thing I quite like is our table in the middle, just cluttered with lots of little things that she's obviously busy using, like baking. We've got the jam, the bread, and of course a wine bottle. And we've got a little bowl for our pet. And I try to keep things like as logical as possible, right? So next to our mixer, we've got the flour and the eggs. It just makes sense, right? So our little, I don't know, open hallway area, I guess. We've just got a few tables just to hold a couple of things. Nothing really functional about this area, mostly just decorative. Then we've kind of got this old-timey bathroom. Nothing too special. It kind of looks, to be honest, a little ugly, but like ugly in a good way. Again, it was the challenge of not making things look too nice, because again, this house should be a little bit run down, just a bit. I mean, it is probably a lot for one person to look after such a big house, especially one already so old. And then of course our hallway leading to the back of the house. Again, nothing too much going on here. We don't want to clutter things up. I am trying to learn how to just be satisfied with a bit more of a simple approach instead of like bombarding an area with 1,000 items. So moving on to our greenhouse, I quite like how this turned out. I was concerned about space, but as you can see, everything fits in perfectly well. We've got a flower arranging table, a few different planters. We've got the ones on the floor here for some small things. We've got the vertical planters, and then this is non-functional, but I think it looks very cool here, as well as this thing. Its only function is to kind of serve as a surface, and that is the first floor. Going on to our really crazy staircase, we go upstairs. We've got our first room to the right, which is the bedroom. And I really enjoyed using like these quilt kind of covers and designs. It's the first time I've really gone for that approach. And it's just fun to always do something new. Very like grandma looking bedroom, but I think it's perfect for this house. We've of course got our little bed for our pet and just a few other things scattered around. Moving on to our next functional room, we've got as a gemology, is that what it's called? So she can also do a bit of jewelry and things like that, which I thought was kind of in line with the type of character that we have. So as you can see, there is quite a lot going on here, but overall it serves the purpose of making jewelry. Then we've got this little room. Initially, it was just going to be a hallway like it is on this side, but I thought we could squeeze in one more little room, kind of what was meant to be a storage room, and she's now just gone and turned into an art room. Our next bathroom, I was a little bit conflicted with because it does seem slightly too fancy. I'm not sure, but eventually I just decided to go with it. I thought it's fine. We'll make it work. And it's kind of the same as our downstairs bathroom in terms of layout, nothing over the top. As for the exterior of our house, there's also quite a lot going on, mostly trees and bushes, all those good things. But over here, we've got our garden for the overgrown crops, a scarecrow, of course, and definitely I thought this would be appropriate is our flock of wild birds to help with the gardening, because I think there is going to be a lot of gardening to do for just one single person. So I thought it'd be cool to have an extra helping hand. We do again have this little rabbit house, but also one of the challenges in our lot is wild foxes. So they are kind of endangered by the fox, as well as our crops, and just a bunch of creepy crawlies. And then just a cool little elevated platform here by our pond with mosquitoes and dragonflies and everything that I think would just bring this place a little bit to life. We have this kind of courtyard thing. Initially, the plan was to make it a lot bigger, and this didn't quite turn out the way I wanted it to, this little bridge with a waterfall, but it's time for us to move on. I spent way too much time on this, and I'm ready to put it behind me. Inside our little courtyard, we just have like these little 2 gravestones. Ignore the little fireflies thing. We have these 2 little gravestones. Maybe it was the original owners of the house that lived here, and now their tombstones are just resting peacefully, slowly being overgrown. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings another build to a close. I really hope that you enjoyed this build, and remember to leave a like and drop a comment down below. This build should provide a lot of interesting gameplay along with a few challenges. Doing massive gardens has definitely proven to be quite a challenge. I won't be revisiting it too soon, but I do have a few things in mind for the future. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it from me for now, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one. This is Moses, getting ready to bounce.